Hey everybody, this is Joe. Thank you for watching my Giga Texas construction update video.
Well, welcome to a very wet, stormy, thunderstormy day here at Giga Texas. I actually had to delay my flight about 4 hours from my normal time just to try to get to conditions that were favorable to flying. We're going to start off first talking a little bit about a new permit that you see here for further construction going on inside the paint shop, specifically installing some additional tools, some plumbing, and other fixtures necessary to complete much of the modular paint shop components that we've seen arrive and been moved inside, as you can see by some of these images. But this permit was filed very recently with the city of Austin. It's not complete. It's an initial permit, but should be completed pretty soon, and then they'll have that work going on. A great indication of an additional production capability going on inside Giga Texas. Also, I want to remind everybody that on Wednesday is the third quarter shareholders meeting, and it'll be held here at Giga Texas at 4:30 p.m. Central Daylight Time, 2:30 Pacific Time. So make sure you check that out on Tesla Investor Relations site. A lot of stuff to see today in the video. The one thing I'm going to just highlight, besides all of the mud and rain that you'll see around the site, is up at the electrical substation. A lot more of the vertical steel assembly has taken place. Specifically, as you can see in this image here, this A-frame structure, which will be where it connects the electrical substation to those very tall power poles that we know they're going to be installing as well, and this will connect the station to the power grid. So anyway, a lot more to see in the video. Sorry it was a little bit late today, but Mother Nature had different ideas. Thank you very much for watching, and I hope you have a great day.
A special thank you to all of my outstanding Patreons for your continued encouragement and support. Patreon members get access to hundreds of high-resolution photos, previews of the future material, and direct dialogue with me. If you would like to support my channel, please consider becoming a patron using this link, which is also in the video description. Please also consider hitting the like and subscribe buttons, as this helps as well. Thank you. My drones are ready and raring to go. Let's go flying over Giga Texas. This morning we start off on the south side, and you can see that despite the heavy rains that just ended, the overall site weathered it really well. So the water management system seems to be working pretty well around the main site. This is a good view of the south end where the steel is located, and also there's a trenching operation taking place on the south end. That'll be something I'll continue to monitor over time. As we continue a little bit further to the north, you can see the reconfiguration of the south lot and also the number of Model Ys that have been produced and are parked down in this particular section. It has definitely increased a lot, and also I noticed a lot of transports picking up vehicles and taking them off-site just about as fast as cars were coming out of the south end of the factory. So I think production has definitely ramped up to somewhat of a higher level than we have seen in the last several weeks. I'll continue to work our way towards the east. You can see the trenching operation on the south end of the concrete is being filled back in, so most of the water pipe has been installed, and the work on the east side concrete removal is picking up pace as well. In fact, it looks almost like the center rectangular section of the concrete is more or less still intact where all the cars are, and it's just the two ends on the west and the east side that are being removed. But this is a really good shot of what they are doing here, how they're cutting up the concrete into these sections. You can see them stacked on the left-hand side of the screen. You can see the gentleman cutting some of the concrete right now, and then the bulldozer or the excavator getting ready to remove some more of the cement on this particular side. You can also see the growing amount of steel on this material storage area on the right-hand side of the screen. So I'm going to give you just a quick look around the east side of the stamping structure where the AIDA parts for the stamping press that will be installed in the stamping extension in the center south section of the building is still waiting for that work inside to be completed. I'm going to pull back towards the south to give you an overall view from this side of the factory of the south end, the ramp, and the concrete removal, just so you can see how this is taking place. You can also see some of that trenching on the south end just under the power lines as well. As we maneuver over farther to the southeast, I'll show you the work that's going on at the horizontal drilling location. It looks like most of the work is in these two pits right now, and they are doing some connections to the pipe that was installed and pulled under the Colorado River from the south end. And this just gives you an idea of how this looks and some of the remnants of the pipe or the sections of the pipe that they are preparing for further work. Pulling away from the factory just a second because I want to show you a change that has happened on this material staging location. It looks like it has now been turned into a large parking lot. You can see the markers for the cars to park and defining the spots for each of the vehicles. Also, I'm going to give you a much better look at the new permanent platform that has been installed. They have now installed the columns to hold up that platform that we saw being constructed on the south end, and it looks like it's nearing completion at this point in time. So a little bit more of a permanent way to put materials up into the second floor of the body in white on this particular side. I'm going to continue a little bit further to the north. I want to show you some of the changes in the Model Y storage on this small east parking lot near the helicopter pad. And what you can see is the inventory here has definitely changed since my previous video. On the left hand side there used to be Model Ys along that southern border, but now it looks like a lot of them have been removed, some other vehicles, and the actual type and number of Model Ys stored here has changed. So it's not really just vehicles waiting for parts, it would appear to me. This is a good look at some of the excavation work that is going on to reconfigure this apron near these new cargo or receiving doors that were cut into the wall, and soon that should be completed and then they'll be able to put the concrete back in. This is also a chance to look at the work going on the roof of the body in white structure, and you can see how the HVAC ducting is continuing to be installed. You can see on the left hand side those rectangles now have kind of a yellow border around where the decking is and where it's been uncovered. And this view here gives you an idea of what is down underneath this structure, the frames, and the HVAC ducting that they're installing. So I'm going to proceed over to the west across the roof and take a look at the main entrance and the landscaping work that has been underway for a while, and show you how that is continuing to change and how it looks now. Apparently all of the grass has now been installed. As you can see, quite a bit of the plants have been arranged around that concrete wall, but it looks like there's still more in that parking lot area in the center that's waiting for additional installation. And based on just how dense the foliage is around this area, those plants may be spaced in other sections on this general area. You can also see how the main entrance looks right now. The glass doors still have that white wrapping with the red tape to protect them as construction work continues inside. I'm going to bring the drone back up to the roof. I want to show you some of the progress with the solar panel installation that is going on here. In this particular section, they are continuing to fill in the gap between the E and the S of Tesla. And I want to give you a closer look at how this is being done. You can see the Unirack mounts on the right-hand side of the screen getting ready for installation. You can see the cart that's bringing more of the bricks and other materials. On the left-hand side, with this zoom in, you can see how this works. They put the Unirack mounts down and then they use these bricks to hold them onto the roof. That is per the manufacturer's recommended mounting method. And then they put the solar panels on top of them, and that's how the entire installation has occurred. I also want to show you on the bottom part of the E. In this section, you can see sort of the dirt outlined area where solar panels had been removed. It looks like they've brought more materials in, more mounts and solar panels, so we should see this section completed here pretty soon. We'll continue the flight north along the west side of the building, and we're approaching where the 4680 manufacturing process is underway. And there are some interesting deliveries here on these two trucks. One has the accordion opened up a little bit so we can see some of the materials or the machinery that has been brought here. They are marked very lightly with Tesla, as you can see on the left-hand side of these equipment. I'm not sure exactly what this is, but I suspect this is to continue with installation of materials and equipment to build the 4680 cells. Possibly this is some of the material that's been redirected from Giga Berlin, per some reports saying that Tesla is doing that to take advantage of some of the rebates and other parts of the latest bill that has been signed by Congress and the President. Here on the north end of the 4680 structure, we see many wooden crates have been delivered today. They're being broken down and the parts are being lifted up into the third floor of the building onto that platform. And we can also see some other activity on the fourth floor platform as well. Not sure what these equipment are, but I think it's, again, more production equipment for the 4680s. This center section with the plumbing work is continuing to expand towards the west. Now they're kind of in the middle of this section. You can see on the left-hand side the sidewalk and most of the curbs are already completed. I'll give you a closer look at what's going on here in the paint shop today. Now we know about that permit that I talked about in the intro. You can also see some of the equipment wrapped in green and some of the white that still remains, but most of the modular paint shop equipment now has been moved inside, which is really great to see, and then coupled with that permit tells us that they're really making progress. You can see two Model Y bodies here next to that dumpster. I'm going to show you in a bit where a lot of them are being taken. I call it the Model Y graveyard on the far east side. Now here's some of the castings waiting for movement to body in white for installation. Now I've had several viewers that have picked up Model Ys recently from their purchase, and they've noted that most of them do not have front castings, even though they're made here at Giga Texas, and they are 2170 variants. So I think that helps answer part of the question people have had is, are they using front and rear castings for all of the Model Ys here? The answer is no. They're only doing that with the 4680 variants. Showing you the parking lot here and the vehicle pickup. You can see several trucks right now, actually about 5, maybe 6 of them picking up Model Ys. And as quickly as the trucks are departing, more trucks are arriving. I believe most of them are going up to the railhead up at Hutto, Texas. And in addition, as I mentioned earlier, down at the south end, Model Ys are popping out at the south end of the factory pretty quickly and replenishing about what the trucks are picking up. So that explains why we're seeing a growing inventory here at Giga Texas. Now I'm going to move over towards the far east side. As I promised you, I want to show you what I call the Model Y graveyard section. It's right by this very large hill. This hill is also used to recycle some of the cement or the concrete that has been broken up. But here you can see quite a few of these unfinished bodies of Model Ys, some casting, some other parts and pieces. I believe that this is just a temporary storage location until they are picked up and moved off for recycling. But anyway, I thought you might enjoy that particular view and information about where that is happening here at Giga Texas. Up at the battery cathode plant, we see the pipe being installed in this trench. That work is continuing. We also note that quite a few of the wall panels have been installed now, so it's rapidly closing off what we can see going on inside. Some of the areas where the wall panels have not been installed yet are probably to allow for the installation of some large equipment, which is easier to do with those openings. This section of the ground slab with these 3 large and deep foundations, and then the rebar work on the rest of the slab continues to make some progress. It looks like there's still several days worth of work until they're ready for concrete. So I'll continue to monitor this as long as I possibly can with the wall panels removed. I'm going to turn a little bit towards the north, just give you a feel for the materials that are on the east side here near where this large tent is. Also this slab with the steel structure. The structure was put up about 3 or 4 days ago, but not a whole lot of progress in that time. But I'll continue to monitor what's going on there. Up in this section, you can see that they've sort of reconfigured a little bit of the material storage. Some more of the steel is on the left-hand side, and I'll come back and give you a closer look at that. But I also want to show you the progress with the land work and the reclamation work that's going on. Many of the ponds right to the left of the screen have been filled in. They're continuing to widen this particular area. You can also see the aftermath of all of the rains that just ended as I arrived. So not a lot of activity here as it becomes very muddy, and a lot of the equipment can sink into the dirt pretty easily. As mentioned, this is another view of some of the steel. Also in this sort of rectangular section with the black fencing, you can see these materials. We saw these delivered by really heavy lift trucks and trailers. I don't know what they are, but it clearly looks like it's equipment for the battery cathode plant, and it's just in a storage location waiting for future installation. Here on the north end, you can see that the work on, it looks like 5 receiving docks has been completed, and the perimeter grade beam as well. That's where the yellow forms are. It looks like they're starting to be removed. So I would expect probably 5 receiving docks here, and most likely a large door for personnel access. So let's continue to fly south along the west side. You can see that they're starting to do wall panel installation near this tree. Also see quite a bit of water left over from the rains that just ended. This crane is looks like it's getting ready to reposition itself, probably to continue with wall panel installation. You can see the 2 temporary platforms are definitely being used quite a bit to move materials inside. The interior walls continue to be fitted out along with other equipment. This apron that has been continued to be prepared, it looks like it has some of the mounts on the left hand side for possibly tanks, and this reinforced section just waiting for the ground to dry a little bit more and a little bit more finishing work, and then they'll put concrete. Now you notice the part of the top of the building missing the wall panels. What I think and what some viewers have said is that what you're seeing here are kind of vents or grates, maybe louvers that will go into that particular part of the building and possibly allow for ventilation. So I'll continue to monitor that and see if that is in fact what happens. Here's a good look at the Warehouse on Wheels yard and how it looks today. Still quite a bit of trailers. You can see trucks bringing even more on the road here. I also wanted to show you that it looks like the light poles have been installed on this part of the parking lot now. They were not here on my previous video, so they're continuing to work on getting those light poles installed to help with the night visibility. We can see that this section has definitely become a parking lot. It's very full with contractor vehicles today. There's a lot to see at the electrical substation, a lot of changes in just the last 48 hours. So I'll give you an overall view here of how it looks, and then we'll get a little bit closer. These two large rectangular sections that had the mud base poured, it looks like right now they're mini ponds because of all the rain. So they'll need to drain that out before they can continue to work. You see quite a bit of materials, and it looks like some circular mounts on the left-hand side of the screen. You can also see progress with the steel assembly here for the electrical substation with a large A-frame, and I'll give you a closer view of that in just a second. The control house is for the most part completed, has all the roof, the walls, even the doors installed, so can't really see much in there. You can see some of the water in the water detention pond, and it looks like the draining mechanism has been working, although they're going to have to do some work for erosion control on the sloped berms going into that pond. Just wanted to give you an idea of how the drainage on the east side appears today, and it looks like it was working without too much damage to the dirt. And also, this is a good view of all of the steel parts to make these very large and very tall steel power poles. As you can see, there's 4 of them already installed, and then there's enough of the parts here to install 4 more. And this will be used to connect the electrical substation to the existing power lines and then connect this all to the overall grid. This is a really good view of just the progress that's going on here. Quite a bit of steel assembly onto the footings. And this is a great shot of that A-frame that I had mentioned to you. I believe that that tall pole on up at the very top is for lightning detection, or lightning rod to protect. You can see more of the steel being installed as well. So overall, quite a bit of work going on with the electrical substation today. And we'll pick up the flight on the west side of the highway, and just to show you some of the progress that is going on over here as well. The first thing I want to show you is the material staging and storage location here. There's 2 different kinds of steel that we see. The brown steel on the left, and that has been here for about 1.5 years. And I don't know what that was for. I thought it was for the temporary substation, but that was never used. But it looks like it's enough to make a steel structure. And then the gray steel here is quite a bit of beams that I think are going to be used inside the east side of the 4680 cell production portion of the factory, as that part of the building inside still needs some completion. And having a lot of these beams may be what that is for. It's also, this is stored pretty close to that location. You can see some old concrete wall panels on the left, some of the Evapco HVAC equipment just waiting, and then down at the bottom of the screen is some of the old beams that were removed from the General Assembly southwest side as part of that expansion work inside. Now this clearing looks like it has definitely become another material storage location. And this may be to allow some of the equipment on the far south storage location that you can just see in the top right of the picture. And this, if this is in fact the case, it will allow them to redirect materials here and then start clearing out that location. Can't say if that's for sure what's going on right now. I'll have to continue to monitor it, but it would be intriguing because that would mean that there would be some sort of construction work starting off in the south end, which is something we've been looking for a long time. But this is a really good view of how this new area that has just been prepared appears today. I'm going to bring the drone up a little bit higher altitude just to give you a different angle, Looking across the main building to the east side, you can see the battery cathode plant on the left, the electrical substation on the left as well, the large central parking lot, and also where the new car staging and transportation lot is located. You can see the warehouse on wheels lot as well. And you can see most of the building and down to the far south across the Colorado River where the power station is located. Thank you very much for watching. I do appreciate it, and I hope you have a great week.